Hi, boys and girls. Today I wanted to read another book about Franklin. This book is called Franklin's Thanksgiving. It was written by Paulette Bourgeois and Brenda Clark. Franklin's Thanksgiving. So it was written by Paulette Bourgeois and illustrated by Brenda Clark. Franklin liked everything about Thanksgiving. He liked eating pumpkin pie fly and cranberry jelly. He liked making cornucopias and corn husk dolls. But most of all, he liked having his grandma and grandpa come for dinner. It was the family tradition, and Franklin could hardly wait. So I see this is the cornucopia. It means horn of plenty. And I see fruits and vegetables gathered inside of it. This is a corn husk doll. These are his grandparents. A week before Thanksgiving, a postcard arrived from Franklin's grandparents. "Oh dear," sighed Franklin's mother. "Grandma and Grandpa can't make it back for the holiday." "But they have to," cried Franklin. "They're always here for Thanksgiving." Franklin's mother gave him a hug. "There will still be the four of us," she said. "It won't be the same," Franklin grumbled. So Franklin's mother is saying it will still be Franklin and his sister, his mom, and his dad, so they still have family to eat Thanksgiving dinner with. What is the problem, though? Franklin liked Thanksgiving best because his grandparents came, and now they can't come. Over the next few days, Franklin was so busy that he didn't have much time to think about Grandma and Grandpa. He helped his mother pick apples and make applesauce. He helped his father dig up vegetables and store them in the cellar. Franklin and Bear helped Harriet and Beatrice pick berries and gather nuts. In the gardens and orchards, forests and fields, everyone was bringing in the harvest. The harvest are all of the foods that begin to ripen in the fall, in the autumn. Franklin counted all of the jars of jams and preserves. "I think this year was the most bountiful ever," announced his father. "We could feed the whole town." Bountiful means plenty. There's lots there. "I just wish we could feed Grandma and Grandpa," sighed Franklin. His mother agreed. "We'll miss having company," she said. At school, Franklin's class made a harvest quilt and learned how the early settlers celebrated Thanksgiving. "What are you doing for Thanksgiving, Mr. Owl?" asked Franklin. "I'll have dinner with my mother," he replied. "Our relatives can't visit this year." "Ours neither," said Franklin. Then he had an idea. He invited Mr. Owl and his mother for dinner. "It's all right with my parents," Franklin explained. "They want company." "Well, thank you, Franklin," said Mr. Owl. "We'd be delighted to come." Franklin smiled. This would be a wonderful surprise for his parents. At home, Franklin's mother looked at the berry pies cooling in the windowsill. She had an idea. She walked over to Bear's house and invited the whole family for Thanksgiving. "It will be a wonderful surprise for everyone," she explained. So Franklin's mother has a surprise, and Franklin has a surprise. What is the surprise that they have? They invited people over for Thanksgiving dinner. In the garden, Franklin's father waved to Mr. Mole. "Are you going to your sister's for Thanksgiving?" he asked. "Not this year," replied Mr. Mole. "With my broken ankle, I can't go far." Franklin's father had an idea. What do you think his idea was? He invited Mr. Mole for dinner. "It will be a wonderful surprise for everyone," he explained. So now he has a surprise too. After school, Franklin went home with the moose. That's when he had another idea. It was the moose's family's first Thanksgiving in Woodland. So Franklin invited them for dinner. "It's all right with my parents," he explained. "They want company." "We'd be delighted," replied Mrs. Moose. Franklin smiled. His surprise was getting bigger and bigger. How many surprises are there? Which characters are now going to come to Thanksgiving dinner with Franklin's family? Think, think, think. Who did Franklin invite first? Did he invite anybody else? Did Franklin's mother invite anybody? Who? Did Franklin's father invite anybody? Who? Lots of characters will come to Thanksgiving dinner at Franklin's house. On Thanksgiving morning, Franklin got up early to help with dinner. He stirred soup and shucked corn. That means he's peeling all of the green leaves off of the outside of the corn. See? They're all in this pile. When corn first grows, it's all wrapped up in these green leaves. But we can't eat it that way. So he had to shuck the corn. So he did that, and then he set the table for nine characters. Franklin's father counted the place settings. He shook his head and reset the table for 5. Why did Franklin's father think they only needed 5 plates? He doesn't know about the other guests. He only knows about Mr. Mole. Franklin's mother looked at the table. She was puzzled, but she added 3 more place settings. Why was she puzzled? Because everybody has their own surprise. And everyone took turns peeking out the window, watching the surprised guests. Or watching for them, rather. They're looking out the window waiting. Mr. Owl and his mother were the first to arrive. "Surprise!" Franklin shouted to his parents. "This is a surprise!" they exclaimed. Then Franklin saw the Bear family and Mr. Mole. Now everyone was surprised. All the guests crowded inside, holding platters and bowls heaped high with food. Is everybody there? Are they waiting for any more surprised guests? Who? Franklin and his parents laughed and tried to explain what had happened. "Well, we sure have plenty to eat," declared Franklin's mother. "We just don't have plenty of room." Franklin knew they had a big problem. What's the problem? They're running out of room, and there's still some surprised guests that have not arrived yet. The Moose family hadn't arrived yet. Franklin looked around. There wasn't one bit of room inside, but outside? Suddenly, Franklin knew what to do. What is the solution to the problem? How is Franklin going to fix that there's no room inside the house for all these guests? Moose and his family arrived as all the others came out the door. Everyone carried food and dishes, tables and chairs. "What's going on?" asked Moose. "We're eating our Thanksgiving dinner in the field," answered Bear. "Just like the early settlers," said Franklin. It was a wonderful afternoon. Everyone ate lots of good food, and everyone said how thankful they were for good friends and family. Franklin was thankful for 3 helpings of pumpkin fly pie. "I'm eating Grandma and Grandpa's share," he explained. Soon the sun was setting, and it was time to go home. "This was a wonderful day," said Franklin's mother. Franklin agreed. "Let's do it again next year," he said. Everyone laughed and cheered. Grandma and Grandpa phoned later that night, and Franklin told them all about the new Thanksgiving tradition. They promised that next year they wouldn't miss it for anything. Franklin smiled. He might not get 3 helpings of pumpkin fly pie next year, but he knew he'd still be thankful. It's good to be thankful for the family and friends we have in our life that we can spend our time with. They care about us, we care about them, and we're thankful for them.